Hi everyone, my name is Jaden Johnson, and today I will be discussing why early intervention is super crucial to children who have Down syndrome and how it affects their language skills. So if you've ever met a child who has Down syndrome, you'll probably notice they're just a little bit different than the normal child would be. Typically, developing children are able to understand and respond to adaptive functioning, but children who have Down syndrome have impairments in adaptive functioning. They are not able to communicate the same way that the normal child is able to. This means that children with Down syndrome are going to have to work a little bit harder on obtaining better language and life skills. So early intervention is able to help step in and give these children a little bit of extra help to get them to where they need to be. When we look at giving children with Down syndrome some extra assistance, we look at the speech pathologist, the therapist, the psychologist, as well as just teachers in general. We're all able to come together, and parents are also a huge help when it comes to early intervention, because when the child goes home after a lesson, the parents are able to help the children at home and give them some extra assistance. So it just doubles the amount of help that the child is getting. I personally decided to write about children who have Down syndrome because I work in a school district as a paraprofessional, and I have been able to help a few different students who have Down syndrome with their language skills and being able to communicate better. So I thought I would research it a little bit more and go more in depth. Communication is one of the most important learning tools for children to be able to learn new language skills. But children with Down syndrome can become frustrated really easily because they lack these verbal communication skills. One of the areas of studies that I learned about and researched heavily was ASL and how basic sign language can help facilitate to express the child's communication. So the second area of research that I looked at was looking at the maternal education background and how this stimulated the child's ability to communicate. So this basically means that if the mother had a higher level of education, so if she went to college or got her master's degree, then they would have, or the child who has Down syndrome would have a higher ability to communicate and would be able to have higher literacy skills as well. The third study that I looked at was reviewing how joint attention and play affects early development in children with Down syndrome. So this looked at how caregivers play with their children or the children that they're taking care of and how it affects their language skills. The fourth research that I reviewed was on linguistic correlation of impaired adaptive functioning in children who have Down syndrome, and to help identify if the child's language skills improve with early intervention. The second to last study that I researched looked at how speech and language therapists help children with Down syndrome be able to communicate better. The last study that I looked at was how aided augmentative and alternative communication can help children with Down syndrome be able to communicate better. All of these different studies point to the fact that early intervention really does help with children with Down syndrome being able to have better literacy skills and being able to communicate better. Imagine not being able to communicate with your mom that you're thirsty. So some of these early intervention skills help the children be able to just have a better quality life and live the best life that they possibly can. As I've been at California Baptist University, I have learned a lot, but I've also learned that early intervention and language skills for children who have Down syndrome really relates to a lot of my previous classes. We learned that the child always must come first, and so if the child is having difficulty communicating, then we know that early intervention is one of the best ways that we can help them to become stronger and get them to use their language skills more. Early intervention is a super difficult process to begin with, but it's so worth it for the child because their life will become a lot easier, as well as the caretakers' lives will become a lot easier when the child is able to communicate with them. I think that this literature review will really help me to understand my work as a future educator. I would like to be a general education teacher someday, not specifically a special education teacher, but I know that a lot of school districts are doing more push-in for children who have Down syndrome or even any other disability. They want them to be in the general education classroom more. So I understand that I will probably be working with a student who has Down syndrome sometime in my career. But I think that this will help me because I'll be able to understand what needs to be done and able to help in order to help the child be able to communicate better, not only with myself, but with his peers, families, friends, and loved ones. I'll also be able to help the parents understand that early intervention is such a crucial part in helping the child gain more literacy skills. As you can see, early intervention is such an important process to helping these children with Down syndrome improve their language skills and their literacy skills, as well as being able to communicate better. So as future educators, we just need to be cautious of any child who may need early intervention skills and take the steps to be able to help them.